Hey everybody, this is Jamie. What I'm going to do today is do a tutorial on how to create an alternative endless runner. And the reason I say alternative is because I have a couple videos online already about creating an endless runner. And this is a different technique for creating a similar kind of game. The big difference is, in the existing videos, the levels are created at random, and the player is always stationary on screen. In this version, the levels will not be created at random. They will be a stationary or a static level that is the same every time, and the player will move through it. So with this kind of technique, you could create a game similar to Geometry Dash, where the levels are the same, and you have to play it over and over and over again to learn the level before you can get through it. So let me play a quick level here, just to show you the kind of thing you're going to be able to create after following this video. The pink player there is controlled with my space bar. I just press it to jump when I need to. If I hit the red, I die, or this blue coming up. Those are obstacles that will kill me. But you can see as I die, the level is still the same every time. So I can get better and better and learn to get through this level and pick up treasures and make it further every time. But if I do die, it starts over and it's the same level. So that's the key to the two kinds of endless runners. So let's get into this, and I'll show you how to create this type of endless runner. What I'm going to start with is essentially an empty project. There's just a bunch of actors here. None of them have any behaviors currently. There's a player, a platform, the death actor, something to use as an obstacle, and something to use as gold. They're all just basic nothing actors. I've put an image in this platform actor so you can see that it scrolls by. That'll give some indication that the screen is scrolling. Now here's one of the things that's very different about this type of endless runner versus my other tutorials. I've made the scene very large. This is, this is an iPhone landscape project. And I've increased the width of the scene to 5,680 pixels. And that's going to give us space to create our endless level in. As I scroll over, you'll see it's really long. And eventually I get to the side of it. Now, you could make this whatever you want. I just made it 5,680 to give me some space to create a level. If you wanted a level twice that size, go ahead and double it. If you wanted it 3 times the size, go for that. Whatever you need for your specific game. There's no reason this has to be 5,680. It's just what I'm going to use for this tutorial. So I'm going to put some things in here just so we can have a level built. This red is going to act as death. If my player ever touches it, it's going to die. So I'm going to drag that over till it fills the entire width of the scene. Okay, so I've filled the scene with the red, and I threw in some platforms and some obstacles and elements just to give a base level to play through while we're developing this. So I'm going to add the player in here. I'm just going to drop it and resize this. Obviously, you'd be using real graphics, nicer graphics in your games. I'm just going to use boxes and shapes here for the tutorial. So I'm going to drag that and just drop it right there. In this type of endless runner, the player is going to control just about everything. So I'm going to start with the player actor and add a few behaviors to this. The first thing we want to do is give it some fake gravity. And this is pretty typical of a GameSalad platformer or endless runner style game. So I'm going to add some gravity. I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe 900 we'll try for the acceleration. I'm going to set that up relative to scene. So the player will always try to move down with an acceleration of 900 relative to the scene. Of course, we're going to want this player to collide with the platforms. So I'm going to add a collide behavior for that and say collide with platform. And in the platform actor, that's already set up to be not movable. And I've zeroed out the density and friction and bounciness of all of the actors in here. If you wanted to set that up differently, of course you can do that. Now when I preview this, the player is colliding with the platform. That's all good. If I drag the player up in the sky a little bit here in preview, it'll fall until it hits the platform, just like you would expect. Now the key to this type of endless runner is to always move the player through the level. So we're going to do that by adding a constrain attribute right in here. And I'm going to constrain the player's motion, linear velocity x, because that's horizontal. I'm just going to pick a number here. We'll see if it's fast enough or if it's too slow. So I'm going to say 300. Now when I preview this, the player is just going to automatically start moving. Let me move the player down onto the platform so it's there already. Because of that constrain attribute, the player is just going to move. There he goes, flying off the screen. Now of course we need to scroll the screen with the player. So let's go back to the player and we're going to add a control camera behavior right here to the player. So now the camera will follow the player. Before I preview this, let's adjust the camera controls. So the camera control area is as tight as it can be to the center of the screen. That way when the player moves from the left, hits the center, it'll always stay in the center of the screen after that. So let's preview this. Now the screen scrolls and the player just keeps moving through the level. I haven't set up any keyboard controls or anything yet, so it just fell off and the game locked up. So let's go build some more controls into this player. That seemed maybe fast enough. I'll leave the constraint attribute set to 300. If you wanted it to go faster, you would make this, say, 900. And when I preview, you can see it's flying through the level. Or if you wanted it to go really slow, you would change that to a lower number, like 100. Now you can see it goes really slow through the level. So this constraint attribute is what's going to control the speed of the game. So I'm going to set up a rule to jump. I'm going to say when the key space is pressed or is down, I'm going to change the attribute player motion linear velocity y, and this is, let's see, the downward gravity is 900, so I'm going to try a jump of about a power of 700. Let's see how high that makes me jump. I'm going to turn off this constraint because I don't want to go running through the level yet. I just want to test the jump. So now when I jump, I'm jumping too high. It goes all the way off the screen. So let's go back here. Let's try 500. That's probably good. We'll see if I can get on the platforms as I run through the game here. Let me turn the constraint back on. Start this playing. Yep, there, I got up on that platform, up on that one. And there you go. So the jump is working fine. And that play testing I just did with the jump is just kind of how you have to figure that out. There's no specific formula for if I have an acceleration of 900 and a constraint attribute speed of 300, my jump should be 500. It's really whatever is going to fit your game. If you want your jump to be higher, you would make this 600 or 700. Or if you want your jump to be lower, you would make it 400 or 300. But you can only figure that out by play testing the game. So that 500 seems fine for right now. We do want to make a change to this though, because you can see right now if I play this and press the spacebar multiple times, I can just keep jumping forever. And you may want that for your endless runner, but I don't want that for this one. So I'm going to add a second condition in this jump rule that says, in addition to pressing the space bar, the actor also needs to be overlapping or colliding with a platform to be able to jump. So now, if I press space while I'm in the air, I don't continue to jump. So now I just have a single jump. I want to add this red area killing the player next, so the game doesn't keep locking up like that. So I'm going to add another rule to the player actor. I'm going to say when the actor overlaps or collides with death, I want to destroy the actor, which will destroy the player, and then I want to reset the scene. So it just starts back over again at the beginning, and the player will get another chance to complete the level. So reset scene. Now let me let this run through. I'll jump, let it fall down. Now I hit that and the scene resets. And I get to start back at the beginning. So I did have a couple actors here. If you wanted to have an obstacle in your game, maybe spikes or who knows what, something the player has to jump over besides these gaps in the level, you can add obstacles. You can add anything you want. Obviously, it's GameSalad. You can do anything you want to. And I was going to add a pickup. This could be gold or it could be treasure, just points, whatever you want. So to add the obstacle, I'm going to add another rule in here and say, if this actor overlaps or collides with obstacle, do the same thing as this. So I'm going to copy those. And put them in that rule. So now if the player touches the red or touches the blue, it will die. And the game will reset. There you go. Now let's pick up the gold. That's going to be controlled in the gold actor. So I'm going to open that and add a rule here and say if this actor overlaps or collides with the player, destroy this gold actor. That'll take it off the screen. And then if you had a score value, I don't have one set up for this, but you would do a change attribute and say change score to score plus 10 or score to score plus 100, whatever you wanted your score to go up by when the actor picked up the gold. So let's run through this and make sure that gold disappears. It does. I'm going to jump that, just made it, jump that. And that's it. That's the end of that level. So I have no choice but to jump into the lava. So that's really it. It's pretty simple to set up this type of endless runner. The challenge really becomes in a game like this to test and play test your level as you're building it. Because, let me just mention this, if I built a whole level here and thought, this level's great, but after the fact I decided my actor was jumping or my actor wasn't going fast enough through the screen and I wanted to change that, it's easy to change. I'll make it 600, but that's going to change the feel of the jump because I'm moving so fast now. The level that I previously built may not work, so I'd have to go back and rebuild and replay test the level. So really what you want to do with a game like this is make sure all of your actor movements, the jumping speed, the jumping height, the distance, all of that stuff is nailed down and set in stone before you start building your final levels, because if you change that later, you're probably going to have to go back and remake all of the levels you already made. So just keep that in mind. So that's it for this tutorial. It's really pretty simple, as I'm sure you noticed. So have fun making games.